Hi. Are you in counselling or having therapy for your ADHD? If you are, have you got an end date for that? I want to run you through my own little story. I finished about 2 years worth of counselling this afternoon, and I'd like to run you through quickly the experiences that I had today in my last 1 hour session. So it had been planned for a couple of weeks that this was going to be the last session. The previous sessions before this one had been normal. There were safe spaces for me to talk about whatever I wanted to talk about with a psychodynamic counsellor. So if you don't know what that is, it's heading towards the sort of psychoanalysis, the Freudian side of psychoanalysis, and they called it psychodynamic counselling. And we, over the couple of years, saw me through my diagnosis of ADHD and my first inklings that this might have been how my brain worked, and also talked about relationships with parents, friends, partners, and so on. So this last session was interesting. There was a sort of a bit of a capping off at the end about how to move forward and what it meant to me to finish off that counselling. Now, there is an invitation to go back whenever I want to. So we'll see how that goes. But the end of the session today talked about what have you gained, if you like, what insights, how are you feeling about this last 2 years journey. And we talked a lot about that and about the thoughts that had opened up for me, and about what I've talked about in another video about how the diagnosis of ADHD caused some amount of relief but also some amount of guilt about the past. And I think a lot of you would agree with that, you feeling the same sort of feelings. But finishing the counselling was important to me in some ways because it allowed me to push away that crutch that I felt it might have been, and to go ahead. Now, there will be low times, and we talked about that, and there'll be normal and there'll be high-ish times, and how to deal with those low times. And my thoughts were today was that I'm more able to see them coming, understand that they're short-lived, understand that they're not based necessarily on something that has happened, not for me anyway. When I get really low, it can be triggered by a song, it can be triggered by something on TV or a film. It's not an argument or something like that, or it's not that sort of thing. It's not situational. It's something a bit deeper than that, and it takes me back to, rather sadly to say this, to want to be back as sort of a 15, 16-year-old, 17-year-old, no cares in the world, great friends, fantastic music. You're really starting to go out into the pubs and smoking like a chimney, and it's brilliant, with no responsibility. And, there's a bit of a security about that. So when I hear songs from that era, I kind of think, oh, God, that would be so nice to be back there. That ain't going to happen. But it's good to catch those thoughts. So that was in today's session, was talking about what happens when you catch them, how do you feel, how are you going to move through that, and try and lessen those thoughts, having fewer of those thoughts. So I'd be interested if anybody else is in counselling, or if you've finished counselling, or you're thinking of finishing it, or you want to know the process of going to get counselling. I thought it was really useful. But I'd just say to you today that coming out of it, there's a little bit of a void there, because before I went to counselling, I was in a really bad place. That's why I went. I don't want to go back there again, so it's acted as a sticking plaster maybe, but maybe it's more than that. And we'll see how it works out in the next few weeks when I don't have my regular session. So I think there'll be a bit of a void where the date for my next session will come, nothing will happen, and it'll go, and I won't have gone to counselling as usual, and then the following week and the following week. So we'll see how that works out, and I might tell you a bit more about it. I hope that wasn't a bit too rambling for you, and well done if you stuck it through.